So in this tutorial I'm going to take you through some of the features that you can use within the GEDO Scan Office once you've processed your scan data. So just first off, we'll just go through some of the settings here that you have at the top. So within View, you can change your view settings. So at the moment we have the Project Explorer here on the left and the 3D Analysis view turned on. There's also a section view. This will appear on some of the tools that you start to use. You can also turn that on yourself. You can use the mouse wheel to scroll through the sections, and if you hold in the Control on your keyboard and scroll again with the mouse wheel, you can zoom in and zoom out. Turn that off again. Within settings, there's view settings. As it says, you'll find all the settings here that can be used to change the view. So you can alter the brightness of the scan, turn up a bit to make it easier to see, the contrast, scan point size, your shading, which you can turn on and off, which can sometimes help define features a little bit better. Within the Analysis tab, you can change the step size and mouse wheel. So if you're in the scrolling view for moving along via chainage, you can scroll through using the mouse wheel. You can change the step size in here for how far it will move with each scroll. Also, when you're in section view, you can change the half depth. So at the moment it's set at 100mm, so this will be 100mm forward and 100mm backwards. Collision test, you can change the palette here, and this is you can change the range of the palette as well. Within general settings, there's some tabs here for exporting for the twist base, depending on where you're going for 3 or 15 for your twist base. Merging tracks. This is more used if you're importing, processing your IMS data. So you may have a gap in your tracks. You can set the gap and overlaps, and it will allow it when you do the processing in here to merge those tracks together if they meet those whatever you've specified in here before you do the processing. And there's also help here for contact and support. So we've already created an analysis here. If I highlight the window here, this is analysis we're going to be looking at. Down the left hand side here, you'll see little icons for what you can view. You can turn them on and off. If I double click on one of these, I'm control now of the downline. Double click on the upline, I'm now controlled via the upline. This little icon tells you it's track, this little icon tells you it's a scan. You can turn them on and off. So these are when I created this file, I processed it using tracks from GEDO Office, so I've got downline and upline. I also have the track information here that was processed during the scan data. So you might find that you'll see some overlap between these two here. So I can actually turn that off, so that I'm just looking at the track from the GEDO Office survey. So some of the tools here that we can use. We can change the view settings, so we can go to orthographic, section view as well, just in our main view here. Scan point size, we can change this up and down. We have a toggle for either follow track or free mode, so when we're in follow track mode, the icon usually has some wheels on it, and if you use the mouse wheel, we'll scroll through up and down the track. You see down here on the bottom right that it'll tell you the chainage you're at the moment, just a local chainage. Also give you some information on the gauge and track position. If we change this here, we'll go into free mode, and now if we use it, we're zooming in and out, we're moving around. We can just freely move around the view. Little arrow icon, that allows us to move to a certain change that we've set. So if we're going to change 200, that'll take us to that change. So within tools, we have some different measurement tools, creating profiles, and some processing tools as well for scan data. I'll just start off by looking at the manage registered points. So with registered points, you can import any kind of a 3D coordinate into the scan. This could be topo points, reference points, mileposts. For instance, you may have surveyed or marked up a milepost just to mark the change for your scan. You can import them in here. At the moment, with registered points, what we have is our sync points that we've created. So go to 1004, you'll see the sync point here for 1004, 1010. What you can actually do with registered points is use another command. So this would be set change in direction from a selected point. So if we were to have taken a note in the field of one of these sync points, if I was to roughly select in line with the sync point, so we've taken a change note in the field where this is. If I go to set change from selected point, just make sure we select the same area. Now we can set the change from this point. So you can set it either going forward direction or reverse direction. If we know the change was 160, it's in meters. Permanent, to make sure we store the changes to the actual file. This way we've now set the change here at this point. Scroll through, we'll see the change update. You also have a couple of different measurement tools. So you have a point-to-point measurement. So it'll tell you here, use shift and left click for point A, shift and right click for point B. That'll give you some information there from point to point. You also have the extended measurement tool. So with the extended measurement tool, it's track based, it's referenced from the track. You get some options here of how you like to measure it, from the centre line or from the rail, with cant or without cant. For instance, if we pick here rail canted, if we select anywhere on the scan, you'll get that reference from the rail. Then you just if we wanted to measure it from the down line, we would just select jump on the down line and measure it from there. With these as well, you can add the point in, so you'll get the information here. Change, offset, distance. We can actually give the measured point number and a code, and we'll add it into these registered points. At the end of that, with the registered points, you can export your registered points once they're created out as a CSV file. Track details will gives you track information as you scroll through. There's some settings there for what you want to show, geometry elements, or one of the other features that you can use is the collision test. So with the collision test, you can run a profile, so a kind of static envelope. It's not like running through clear route, but it does give you a general idea of where your pinch points are. So if you have a profile of a particular train that was created either by a DXF, you can load that clearance file in. So we can select that file in DXF format, bring it in here. Once you've used them, for instance, you'll have a drop down of ones you've used previously. We can give it a start change of where we want to start, and give it an end change. Just put this here because it's pretty big. So it says shift and right click for end change. So pick an end change up here, start change, and we would start the collision test. So the collision test will just run this profile along those changes, and anywhere that the impacts on the clearance with the tunnel will be flagged up. So once that's completed, the collision test, you'll see some graphics. So on the bottom you'll see a kind of chart depicting the worst areas where it actually found a collision had taken place. You'll also get a list out that you can export to a CSV file, where it will give you the change and the depth, and I think it's the number of points where it's taken place. So you can click on the chart here and it will take you along and it will flag it up, just to give you an idea of where the impact has taken place. And the magnitude obviously is colour based. You can change the palette again there in the settings if you want to change that. Likewise, we can export, or we can add a new point cloud. So if you want to keep this information, you'll need to save it. So we can save it as a collision, and you'll find here that this will create a new point cloud with just the extracted points colourised as per the collision test. So if we just turn them off, that's them gone now. We can turn them back on and off. One of the next features is the profile creation tool. So this will be if you want to create sections at specified intervals throughout the data, either in you can use DXF format and scan analysis, or you can use a SCO file for clear route. So in the profile creation, there's a couple of ways to do it. You can either create a single profile, you can have multiple profiles, or custom profiles. So a single profile, you give it a change, you tell it the base name, so that could be just the name of the tunnel or the name of the job. Multiple profiles, we select the half profile thickness. So again, this is the thickness forward and back, so 100mm will be 200mm overall. The step size, you know what step, how often you want it to cut through the data. So if we leave it as that, and we'll go 5 meter steps, and for instance I'm just going to go for 60. And or we can do the shift left click, shift right click, and it'll highlight the areas that we've selected here. We'll give it a name and the directory as to where to store them. The directory it usually goes to is within the profiles folder of your created Scan Office project. So we can tick create profiles here. It'll run through that, create all the profiles and store them in here. We also have custom profiles. So this can be quite handy if you've on site, if you went through and you've noted changes of signals, or you don't really want them just to go at a standard step size through a tunnel, so you can create custom profiles. So what you can do is you can add a custom profile. You can just tell it a specific change in a profile thickness, or what you can do is you can create a CSV. So all the CSV needs to have in it is the change in the left column, the next column in the profile thickness, and what that will do is if you went through the data, you found signals, signs, starts and ends of bridges, tunnels, and you just created a file with all the changes you wanted to make a profile at, you can import those changes into here and then just tell it to go away and create the profiles, and it will create all the profiles for the specific changes that you've specified. So for instance, if we just do back here, half profile, step size, click create profiles, it'll run through the process of creating those profiles. And once it's created the profiles, you'll be able to get into scan analysis and export for DXF or for SEO. Some of the other tools here, you have the sphere tools for picking spheres and identifying checkerboard targets. If you're using these, you want to coordinate them. But another feature here is the track detector tool. So the track detector tool will allow you to create a track from scan data. So there's a couple of methods of doing this. You can start it from a primary track, you can just start a free detection or extend an existing track. So if you already have a track survey but it doesn't cover the entire extent, for instance you jumped onto the other line and started to survey the track and to scan from that, you could extend it from the existing one. So at the top here you have the rail shape, so you can see 60 selected here. You can create your own or get a profile in DXF format of specific rail types, and you can add them in here. You can go and select them the particular DXF format. Rail inclination, 1 in 40, 1 in 20, depending on what type of rail. Visible rail parts, so that's the side that can be seen. So on here, if I'm going to do the upline, we can see the left hand side of the rail, so we scan from this direction, so we set left. A reference gauge and cant base, so the step size, so how often do you want it to create a point for the rails. I'm just going to go for 5 meters, and automatic mode selected at 8% confidence. So what this is that once we start it off, we get the kind of rough track position correct. It will then go off at the 5 meter intervals, and if it finds that it's fitting the track to better than 80%, it will just continue all the way through the track and do that automatically. So to start it off, I'm going to do start a free detection. So I'll ask for a click, 2 points on the left rail, roughly 1 meter apart. So if I zoom in somewhere here, I'll just pick first point there. That's me for the next point, roughly a meter apart. I'm just going to hold in control and scroll in to zoom in. So we'll see we're only 49% here at the moment. So what you have, sometimes it will find it first time, other times, depending on, usually if it's canted, you'll have to use the tools here just to change. There's one to change the cant up and down. You can move the track left and right, the position left and right. Up and down, so just move it roughly there. You can increase and decrease the gauge, bring it in a little bit, move it over a little bit again. Doesn't look too bad, and once you're happy with that, you can hit accept and proceed. Doesn't like it, you can do it again. Accept and proceed. So this time it's worked, and what it will do is it will then go away and start this free detection here. So it will run through the entire project from that point, creating the line. You'll see the gauge changing, the cant, and also the confidence going up and down. So if anything drops below 80%, it will stop at that point there, and it will then ask you to basically to do the editing that we've had previously to create that point. So once it's went through the job, you'll see here it will give you the confidence. So the first couple of points we obviously haven't done, and then the gauge and the cant all the way right through. Once we've done that, we can save that track to add that to our current project, and we can export the track out also as a CSV. It's probably easier just to save the track here, and then once you've created the track here, you can export it out and it'll give you different formats for information that you want to take it out. or if we're not happy, we can reset it. Delete the track data. We also have tools as well for overhead line detection and shape tracing tool, which I'll show again in another data set.